Once upon a time, long before wisdom was scattered across the world, there lived a spider named Anansi. Anansi wasn't like other creatures. He was clever, ambitious, and driven by one thought. If I could own all the wisdom in the world, I would be the greatest of them all. But wisdom is a tricky thing. It can't be tamed or trapped, and it certainly doesn't like being hoarded. Yet Anansi, blinded by his desire for power, believed he could outsmart it. What followed was a story that would be told for generations. Anansi was known far and wide for his cleverness. He could trick anyone, humans, animals, even the spirits themselves. And while his cleverness often got him what he wanted, it also made him greedy. One day, as Anansi watched the villagers and animals share their stories and lessons, he grew restless. Anansi wasn't like the other creatures. Where others saw contentment, he saw opportunity. Where others sought harmony, he sought power. Anansi was cunning, ambitious, and above all greedy. And one day, as he sat high in his web watching the world below, he had an idea, a grand, dangerous idea. He wondered, should wisdom be scattered across the world for anyone to claim? If I could gather it all, I would be the smartest, the greatest, the most powerful of all. No one could ever challenge me. Anansi began his scheme with a bag, a special one he wove from his strongest silk. It shimmered faintly, almost alive, ready to hold the treasures he sought. With his bag in hand, Anansi set out to collect every piece of wisdom the world had to offer. He started with the elders of the village, perched silently above their gatherings. He listened as they shared proverbs and life lessons by the fire. When an elder said, "Wisdom is like water, it's meant to flow, not stay still," Anansi smirked. He captured the glowing essence of the words and trapped it in his bag. Next, he turned to the animals of the forest. He tricked the owl into revealing the secrets of the night and coaxed the fish into sharing the mysteries of the rivers. Each time Anansi's bag glowed brighter and grew heavier. Even the wind wasn't safe from his greed. Anansi climbed to the tallest peaks, catching whispers of wisdom as they drifted by. Day by day, piece by piece, he gathered more, his bag swelling with the weight of his ambition. At first, Anansi felt triumphant. "Look at what I've done," he thought. "I have captured the world's wisdom. I am unmatched." But as the bag grew heavier, so did his burden. Carrying it was no easy feat. The silk stretched taut under the weight of its contents, and Anansi's small frame strained with every step. Worse still, holding all the wisdom in the world didn't bring him joy. It brought him isolation. The villagers, once amused by his cleverness, began to avoid him. The animals, sensing his arrogance, grew wary. Even the wind, which once sang to him, now howled in his ears, cold and distant. But Anansi refused to let go. He convinced himself that the bag's weight was proof of his greatness. If it's heavy, he muttered. "It's because it's valuable, and if it's valuable, it must be mine." One day, Anansi decided that the bag was too precious to be left anywhere near prying eyes. He needed a place where no one could find it, where it would remain his and his alone. His gaze fell upon the tallest tree in the forest, a towering giant that seemed to pierce the sky. "That will be its home," he declared. Dragging the heavy bag behind him, Anansi approached the tree. Its bark was rough, its branches sharp, but Anansi was determined. He began to climb, his legs trembling under the strain. As he climbed, his son Nitakuma watched from below. "Father," Antakuma called out, "why don't you tie the bag to your back? It would make climbing easier." Anansi paused, glaring down at his son. "What does a child know about wisdom?" he snapped. "Stay where you are and keep quiet." But the bag's weight was too much. As Anansi tried to adjust his grip, it slipped from his grasp. The bag plummeted to the ground, hitting the earth with a thunderous crash. The silk tore open, and wisdom, once trapped, burst free. The glowing pieces of wisdom scattered in every direction. They floated on the wind, rolled across the ground, and landed in the hands of villagers and animals alike. The forest came alive with laughter and wonder as everyone began to share what they had found. Anansi scrambled down the tree, horrified. "No," he cried. "It's mine! Give it back!" But it was too late. The wisdom he had worked so hard to hoard was now everywhere. The villagers shared proverbs and lessons with each other, animals exchanged secrets, and even the youngest child held a piece of wisdom, smiling as its glow warmed their hands. For a long time, Anansi sat at the base of the tree, defeated. He had wanted to be the wisest, the greatest, but now he felt smaller than ever. Then, Inikuma approached, holding a small, glowing fragment of wisdom. "Father," Takuma said gently, "maybe wisdom isn't meant to be kept. Maybe it's meant to be shared." Anansi looked at his son, then at the world around him. For the first time, he saw the joy that sharing wisdom brought. The villagers were happier, the forest felt alive, and the air buzzed with connection. In that moment, Anansi understood. "You're right," he said quietly. "Wisdom grows when it's shared, not when it's hoarded." From that day on, Anansi changed. No longer did he trick others to take what they had. Instead, he became a teacher, helping those around him understand the wisdom they held. And while he was no longer the sole keeper of wisdom, he found something far greater: community, respect, and peace. Anansi's story didn't end with him. It lives on in the choices we make every day. How often do we keep what we know to ourselves, afraid someone else might gain more from it? But wisdom, like water, flows best when it's shared. When we hold it too tightly, it becomes a burden. When we let it go, it becomes a gift. Anansi's story is as true today as it was back then. How often do we keep what we know to ourselves, afraid to share it, afraid someone else might benefit more? But wisdom isn't a treasure to lock away, it's a light, to pass on. The more we share it, the brighter it shines. So here's a question for you. What's one piece of wisdom you've learned in life that others might need? Share it below. You never know whose life your words might change.